Okay, we've got TY in the top right, and sharing the top with him on the opposite side of the map is going to be JYJ.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I feel a little bit weird sitting next to you casting. I almost kind of feel like I should do some of our Discord stuff where I just like start talking when you're not done, or you know, like to make it the real ASL feel, because we've been doing it, you know, online for years now. But yeah, I'm like, oh, Taste, sorry, your voice just went robot mode for a moment. You guys know Discord does that sometimes. But anyways, yeah, I'm excited to see this. Like, what does TY have prepared? Because, like, you know, you and I have casted StarCraft 2 since the very beginning. We've seen everyone play. We've seen, you know, I think honestly the StarCraft 2 pro gamers, you know, maybe people look at Brood War as like, oh, this is harder, but like the StarCraft 2 pros are like at least as good at RTS, at least as good at thinking as the Brood War pros. And I really do think that TY is like maybe the smartest pro we ever had in StarCraft 2.
He's one of these like really put together with it intelligent people.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I feel like sometimes with pro gamers you get kind of lopsided people where they're very good at games, maybe they're lacking in other qualities or they're socially awkward. Like TY is really one of those, like, all of his stats are maxed out as a person. He's a really smart player. But this is a tough opponent to go against. We've got a barracks, by the way, in the middle of the map here for TY. Barracks in the middle of the map in TVT is not the same thing as it is in, like, let's say TVZ or anything like that. This is not so much cheesy, but more you're able to scout very early and kind of get tempo-wise, get intel a little bit quicker than your opponent.
It also can put pressure on someone that's doing a fast expand, and JYJ is doing that, but he actually checks the center for this. So this is a huge moment. TY from here is so far behind if he loses this SCV.
Yeah.
Like if he doesn't finish the barracks, he's already got to send another SCV down, and we see that's on the way. Dude, JYJ has almost won this game already. This is crazy.
This is wild. So, yeah, when you see the barracks in the middle of the map, I've had people ask me before about TVT, like, well, why doesn't everybody do this? It just seems like it's a better opener, right? Because you get the marine out, you get a little bit of pressure, and then you get to scout. Well, this is why it's not always done, is if they're checking the middle of the map and they find it, you have a huge problem. I think this SCV should finish it, but...
Dude, if he gets unlucky, it won't. Like, this is crazy. This is crazy!
Okay,
dude, that was close.
That was like a fraction of a second off.
Yeah.
From the SCV dying. And keep in mind, guys, you can't start the factory until the barracks is done. So, like, you can't even get anywhere in your build until the first building is done and unlocks all those other tabs in your build order card so that you can actually get what you need. So that's wild. He does finish it. It is on the move. This SCV now is going to scout and confirm TY is up here in the top right. That SCV is not picked off. And he'll be able to send that back home. This other SCV, also extremely low.
Oh my God! He almost gets it and will get away with his own SCV here as well. The command center finally does get started, so like that advantaged build that JYJ is going for, he kind of slowed it down, you know, to make sure he had ample defense. He's getting his factor in pretty quickly, you know, making these extra Marines as well. Like this, it's very, very good for JYJ right now. Like this is, if you're playing as TY, you're just like, oh man, this is going to be a grind trying to come back in this game.
It's not very often in a mirror matchup we just see a couple of like really basic things that occur to let one player get pretty considerably ahead of the other. But we're in that moment right now. So the bunker is going to finish here for JYJ. He's going to be safe and secure back at home. The command center is coming along right now for TY. It is a little bit later. You know, look, this is still playable for TY, but it's interesting to have an early game that has been this kind of crazy. All coming down to the fact that one player checks for the barracks in the middle of the map versus the other.
Well, actually, looking at like the command center timings and the factory timings and everything, I guess TY is not as bad off as I thought he would be. Like, well, people are going to look at this and be like, oh, look at that supply, it's so high. It's because he's making vultures. Like, you don't, vultures are like, what is Stan called them, popcorn. It's like they don't really count as, you know, when someone's way up in supply in early game TVT, almost every time it's just like they have a bunch of vultures, where you see an add-on for JYJ. So like JYJ is going for higher quality units, so it's going to be a little bit slower supply-wise. But, you know, TY got his command center up at reasonable time. Obviously, he had two SCVs that weren't mining for a lot longer and things like that, but Yeah, I guess he did a pretty good job here at kind of rallying back.
I like that. Hearing the vultures are like popcorn. They are like these like empty calorie units for the matchup. Like you might as well get them because the resources are coming in, and you know you can't bring those resources into game 2 or game 3, right? You might as well spend it on something. But yeah, fairly insignificant when in comparison to like tanks or Goliaths or anything like that.
Yeah. Super good in the early and mid game, but like once there's a lot of tanks and if you don't open Vulture, your opponent might be 20 supply up, and that's like kind of deceiving because it's like, okay, but that 20 supply is all Vultures, and like a handful of tanks and Goliaths will kill all of those if they try to engage. So not really a big deal there. You can see the supplies pretty close now. JYJ is actually going for like a very old school looking type of build. He's gone 2 add-ons quickly and an armory. This is like maybe how you might see the game played like 15 years ago or something. Yeah. Like this is
it's an older style for
sure.
Like that. Yeah. This is actually like this. I can relate to this a little bit more. Like I used to play random, like really early on in StarCraft 1, and this was kind of more of the builds that we would do in TVT back then. So this is kind of cool to see.
Now, JYJ actually added 2 more factories very, very quickly there. So I do wonder if he's thinking about getting into Vulture production as opposed to siege tanks. Because he's already made some siege tanks, and this is there were builds that kind of looked like this a while back. Ooh, does get a little bit of a hit there. But there were builds that kind of looked like that, where you'd go like a handful of Goliaths and tanks to block your opponent's Vultures, then suddenly flood 4-fact Vulture. So I don't know if that's what he's going for, but TY has mines on the map, and he's already bringing out his own siege tanks from 2 factories. So I feel like TY's build is very understandable. It's very normal play. Excuse me, sorry. Very normal play. And I'm not sure exactly what JYJ's up to.
Yeah, one thing about following TY in his play from StarCraft 2 is that this is like honestly one of the funner players to cast because everything he does is so strategically sound. Like you can just look at it and be like, no, that makes sense. That's definitely the way to do it. So we've got a little bit of a back and forth here in the middle of the map. Keep in mind, both players see what each other are doing. There are these floating barracks here. This is one of the fun things about StarCraft and TVT is the fact that, because Marines are insignificant in the matchup, the barracks functions as this like spotter.
Yeah.
And there's almost like a mini game of even keeping that alive because you can't make factories without a barrack. So we'll even have these games where, they're both fighting in the middle of the map and somebody drops a barracks and the other guy can throw down 2 more factories and actually strong arm the early mid game because of that.
It absolutely does happen. Now, JYJ kind of pushes the center. We can see he did get his Vulture upgrades. He's trying to push around. TY had set up a little siege line, but he's maneuvering a lot. He sees that that's a pretty strong army from JYJ, and if you end up dropping like 2 tanks right now, your opponent's going to get way ahead. So look at this, JYJ coming in for that engagement. He lays some offensive mines up at the top. He's starting to kill some of these siege tanks, not utilizing siege mode, instead just utilizing his high unit count here to bust through everything.
Yeah, and this is JYJ just dominating the middle of the map. And there is risk involved if you come out into the middle of the map early on with your tanks, especially if you're down on units. And now we're seeing these little fractured sets of Terran groups. By the way, body blocking with Vulture Toast, that is nasty, dude. But yeah, JYJ is going to straight up push right through here. We've got a siege tank over here on the high ground. That is the only thing that really TY's got going for him. But TY in a lot of trouble right now.
Yeah, this is pretty bad. TY, it really looks like he's very close to dead. JYJ has everything going on. I see a command center being built at his 3rd base. We see that for TY as well, but no way to get there. He's losing a lot of SCVs. This is a very cost-inefficient thing for him. Like, he has to somehow break through these tanks and mines and whatnot, and that's tough.
Yeah, I think TY should be able to recover at least positionally, but as far as workers go, he's lost a lot, man. They've got Vultures continuing to kill these SCVs. I think there's like 5 SCVs now in this expansion. I mean, he's lost a lot. JYJ is going to be chased out of this position, but like the number of workers lost overall, I think from here on out, Artosis, it should be a pretty easy game, honestly, for JYJ.
Yeah. This looks very, very good for him. They're both sitting there on 4 factories, but with the amount of SCVs that were lost for TY, he can't really go above that. Like, he's going to have to just make a ton of siege tanks and try not to get completely contained. I feel like that's the way back for him, is like bring the game longer, make it like more even because of that, and see if maybe JYJ makes a mistake. Maybe he attacks into a tank line that he can't quite break.
Was there something specifically that TY did wrong being in the middle of the map there? Because it looked like it could have gone either way, and then suddenly TY just got smashed.
Yeah, you have to be really careful with the spread of your units. So like he was trying to set up siege lines a little bit too early, and JYJ kind of noticed that, and he was sharking around, right? He had his barracks, he had the vultures out in the front. He was looking for angles where he could start to eliminate siege tanks. And, you know, TY was trying to get his third base so quickly, I feel like he didn't quite have enough support units with those tanks either.
Yeah.
You gotta make sure you don't lose your early tanks.
The vultures are going to wrap around here, over through the bottom. I mean, we're slowly seeing TY get encircled positionally by JYJ. We did have, a drop ship pick up a couple of vultures, so we're probably gonna have a drop over here at the natural, and that might positionally dislodge JYJ. We've also got a push coming out here in the middle of the map. Yeah, let's see what TY can do here.
Well, a little drop does come out. The vultures are doing okay, but there's already wraiths on the way. That's kind of a good scout. Look at this, TY with vultures at the third base as well. JYJ had nothing ready there, so he will end up cleaning these. But this was actually pretty effective. I feel like this was a great move from TY.
Yeah, I mean, TY definitely, I think it's still a bad position, but making it work. He's going to clean out that tank up at the top. There's one more down here at the bottom. He's not out of the woods yet, but he is starting to fracture JYJ's position. JYJ has to figure out, does he want to have like a wider contain, which is always going to be more unstable, or does he want to try to back up and have a more fluid position in general? Also, I think a smart move from TY, he pulls back. He doesn't like fight his way all the way to the middle and hold it. He's going to try to regroup.
Actually catches a few of the vultures there from JYJ. You know, JYJ has made quite a few wraiths, and he does have double fort going on, which when you have a contain up, that can be something you do.
Yeah.
But because TY has seen that, he actually has pushed the map really reasonably well. They have the same factory count, so it's not a huge advantage for JYJ in that way. And as long as he keeps some ranged Goliaths around, I think he's going to be pretty happy here. And in fact, he pushes up and kind of takes over that 12 o'clock position.
We've got these wraiths accumulating. The wraiths could be what actually bust TY down. I like TY taking the 12 o'clock spot. It's kind of like you get to have your cake and eat it. You're trying to fight for the center position, continue to grow out, but you just snag that middle position. I mean, if you lose the middle of the map right now, you're going to lose anyways, so you might as well just expand there and try to grow into that spot. The wraiths are out. I don't see a scan coming in here. And so, like, the tanks are going to fall, and this could be maybe the most pivotal moment in the game right now. The fact that these wraiths are out, they're a threat, they can hit these tanks. We've got Goliath slowly coming across the map, but it's one of those situations where there's almost enough wraiths that you can actually fight the Goliaths.
Yeah, I'm surprised he wasn't more ready for that, because when his dropship went in, he saw like 3 wraiths. It's like, well, I mean, if you see more than one wraith, you know it's wraith. So you add Goliaths and you spread your Goliaths around so you can just catch this stuff. So he does have the range upgrade, at least he has that, but definitely takes a bit of damage where he was taking his new base. There you go. This is the move TY needed. Puts a lot of damage on those wraiths, and I think you're done wraith production as JYJ now.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's like wraiths are funny. It's like they have their moment, but you know, once you've been able to deal with wraiths, they're kind of permanently done. They're not a unit you're trying to constantly accumulate in the game the same way as like tanks, as an example. So he's fended off the wraiths. They'll still be able to snipe drops and maybe come in here and snipe some certain positions. But, you know, JYJ has basically kept the position that he's gotten. He's been pushed out a little bit, but now he's going to wrap around here. He's sieging up, and notice that the tanks can hit the gas. That's really important. Honestly, if you can just deny them from the gas, the expansion is almost useless, because everything you're trying to get in TVT is mech-based or starport-based. So you can't get Goliaths, you can't get tanks, all that. The only thing you can get, you know, with those minerals purely is vultures, which, like we already talked about, aren't that useful.
Yeah, you do need to keep that gas alive. And you can see right now, the supply differential is pretty heavily in JYJ's favor, but TY has enough that he's not like under threat of dying right now. He does need to reinforce his siege lines a little bit and make sure he doesn't get broken. Because you can already see, like, if you just look at the mini-map, right, you see this arc of JYJ that's going around TY's entire area. So from here, TY has to decide, Do I try to break out with brute force? Do I try to go dropship? Brute force is probably safer. If you try to go dropship here and your opponent either goes wraiths well against it or even their own dropships, it can be very, very tough game. But he breaks out to the south a little bit, and if he can just kind of hold an area, right? Like if he can carve half the map, this game could go on for a long time.
Yeah. Oh my God, big attack coming in here from JYJ, and there's just not a lot of tanks. There's nothing in front of these tanks to protect them. This is really where you see the value of vultures in the matchup, is they can just soak up siege tank shots, so the siege tanks in the back can really do the damage. And he's crushing through, and frankly, there's no way for TY to survive this game if he loses the 12 o'clock spot, which it looks like is happening right now.
Yeah, well, I like that TY brings this back through the bottom of the center, but the fact that he's losing his SCVs up at 12 o'clock, you see JYJ is expanding all over the bottom left of the map right now, so JYJ's advantage is turning into a victory. I think we're going to see a GG coming out of TY relatively soon, because there's just not a lot of play left.
Yeah. And keep in mind, there's no like potential bases for TY as well. I mean, if you look at the way the mini-map is set up, it's like all the other bases on the map literally are probably going to go to JYJ, if you had to guess. Unless like a command center secretly floats somewhere and JYJ doesn't, scout it. That's about it. So that's going to be a GG is called. TY loses. And look, it's so cool to see TY playing in this ASL. I think JYJ is just a much stronger opponent. Okay, Shuttle here in the bottom right, and Jaedong in the bottom left.
Oh man, I'm kind of excited for this match. Shuttle is he's a very strong PvZ player in my opinion. I actually think they played an Ultimate Battle recently, and I think Shuttle just barely ended up edging out Jaedong. Like, you know those 9-game series that they sometimes do, the Grandcasters?
Yeah.
It's someone told me about it. I haven't watched that particular VOD yet, but I believe someone told me that Shuttle beat Jaedong like 5-4 or something like that. Like it was a pretty close series, but don't quote me on it.
I like this drawing of Shuttle. It's so clearly, Shuttle, by the way.
Dude, Shuttle. Like a lot of people tease him and stuff. Like he seems to be like a really good sport.
Yeah. No, he's definitely fine with being roasted, for sure.
I love the caricatures that fans make of the pros, like Snow, when they just draw the super long face, and then Shuttle, it's like just putting the mole that he has on his he's got his like
round head,
and you just know it's him, so you can make it look so stupid, but put the mole and you know exactly who it is.
Yeah. So Shuttle was one of the players that really blew up in streaming early on in Korea. It's a funny thing, like, even you and me, Artosis, are streaming now, but not everybody who's playing professionally and competitively is streaming. But, with every passing year, it seems like the streaming space is growing more and more. And Shuttle was very ahead of the curve. I mean, he's one of these guys who's really good at the game, but he's also, honestly, just very funny.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of like a skill in of itself to be able to manage, chat and engage with an audience and still play at a high level. And he was a big deal in the StarCraft 1 scene, when I think a lot more eyeballs were on StarCraft 2 for a little while.
Yeah. An important player, truly, during that kind of downtime. But right now we have an Overpool opening, and, it looks like we're going to have a Forge expansion here for Shuttle. And that means it's going to take a minute for it to kind of like warm up into any action in this game. So I'd love to take this opportunity to say thank you guys so much for supporting us on the Patreon. If you have not supported, you should probably check that out. It's at patreon.com/ASL English. And without you guys, we couldn't do this. So thank you so much for the support and keeping ASL alive.
Yeah, guys, if you can, sign up for a year. I know ASL isn't on every month, but, when we have our downtime, we do lose a lot of Patreons, so we're always trying to rebuild that number. So your support's appreciated. We love you guys. Thank you for doing this. And I think we're going to be doing this for a long time, man. StarCraft 1 is in a great spot.
Hopefully forever. Like, yeah. This is one thing I'm really sure of, especially as I get older. They say, like, you keep changing until, like, somewhere in your 30s.
Sure, yeah.
Well, that wasn't true for me. I was basically exactly the same human at 16. But, the one thing I'm completely sure of in my life, like, whatever other games may come or go, I will be playing and watching Brood War forever at this point.
Yeah.
There's no timeline, I think, where I stop.
It's weird. There's always been, and this is actually like a problem with the StarCraft scene. There's always been this weird kind of negative hysteria.
Yeah.
Around I think it comes from a place of love, but it's never been that useful, to be totally honest. People worried about like the game and or in the early days, is esports going to be a thing? Is this going to go away tomorrow? Are we all wasting our time? A lot of attitudes like that. And I mean, the reality is, like, there's a point where it gets old enough where, like, guys, you don't need to think about it that hard. You know what I mean? It's been 25 years. You can't even find anything that comes close to this. That's of this size and scope.
For sure.
Without publisher support, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it's funny. StarCraft 2 had, I think in a good way, a lot of support from Blizzard when the right people were in charge of Blizzard.
Yeah.
But, you know, because StarCraft 1 was sort of its own weird project done in Korea, it's kind of hard to kill off. You know what I mean? And it's at the point in time where the game's so old, like everybody in the whole country knows StarCraft.
Yeah.
You get a Korean taxi and ask them about StarCraft, and they know the units.
Oh, absolutely.
Literally.
Everyone's played.
Everybody's played the game.
Yeah.
So, you know, the point I'm trying to make is it's just like, you know, it's made its mark. And what's nice is we can kind of just cozy up to the game and enjoy it and not overthink it as much.
Totally. And here we see some Zealots coming out. You know, Shuttle just kind of pushing across the map, trying to get a little bit of information. The Zerglings chasing them around. It doesn't seem like the Zealots will really get any damage done or anything, but, you know, at least they're starting to figure out what's going on over here on Jaedong's side.
He's going to wedge the Zealot at the back. I don't think, it took too much damage to really be of impact. When you see these kind of Zealot pushes, it's really important you evaluate, you know, how much damage do they actually do, because there is risk involved from the Protoss. I mean, if you send too many Zealots out like this, and it seems like Jaedong has basically done the perfect balancing act of having the minimum amount of lings to hold this off and kill it. He didn't lose, I think, a single drone.
Yep.
So I would say a little bit of an advantage right now for JD.
But Shuttle's build looks pretty good, right? Like, he got everything on good time. He's going to have a Corsair come across here very, very shortly, and he will be able to scout that it is a Spire from Jaedong. I don't believe Jaedong is... Yeah, he just started his second gas. You know, these are things that I find confusing as a commentator that doesn't play this matchup, but actually when I talk to Zerg and Protoss players, it feels like there's a lot of wiggle room for when you get your second gas, whether you're going mutas or not. So it can be really confusing for the Protoss to read this correctly.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, I feel like you want to come in there and basically confirm a second gas or not and count the larva. You know, like if you see 3 larvae coming in there, you go, okay, well, something's coming out of those that, you know, took a little bit of time. Usually you come in, you check for the second gas, and you just get out.
So is he going mutas or not?
Well, the threat can be real because there's enough gas that you have to respect that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the issue is that you never know until the things hatch, right? But if you can go in there and see a second gas, you go, okay, he could make mass Muta Scourge.
I remember mass, that's certainly true. I remember there was a weird meta like a couple years ago where it would be like 1 gas muta, but it would only be like 5 mutas.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, how do you ever tell what's going on in this matchup?
Well, I mean, this is the whole burden for Protoss in the matchup. Look at that position between the Evo Chamber and the Hatcher. I really like that. It's quite strong versus early. The whole burden for Protoss early on is trying to figure out how much can I get away with not defending. You know, like, I mean, I've joked in a perfect world, it's like you wouldn't even have cannons. Yeah. You would literally just hope they don't attack you and get your gateways out and get all your upgrades.
Only Mini can do that.
Yeah, only Mini will get away with that. But you need to basically go in there and say, okay, like, he's not going to just make mass Muta Scourge and kill me, right? And then you need to get a cannon, and sometimes a second cannon. And so you're trying to just figure out, okay, is this going to be a matchup where I'm trying to just not die? And by virtue of not dying, I'm ahead later on and I win? Or is this going to be one where the Zerg's, you know, developing on their side of the map, but I need to be more focused on pushing? And so you're always trying to figure that out. It's why we see these Zealots coming across the map constantly. And by the way, you know, the Protoss can overdo it. Yeah. You can be wasting all your Zealots early on and you don't really have any kind of muscle in the mid game because you bled all that off. And you can also just drop Corsairs constantly. So I think Bisu was the first guy that really did that perfectly, where he's like showing everybody like you just need to be on top of these Zergs the whole time. And they have to be respecting you. It's not the other way around. It's not just you hiding behind cannons. And by the way, a lot more cannons are thrown down here. I do feel like this game is already not looking great for Shuttle. He lost a lot of zealots. He's having to make a lot of cannons. We see the Hydra out here. This is to maybe get the Forge if he can, or the Gateway. But I feel like Jaedong's playing an S-class game right now.
Yeah, it looks very clean. Looks very good defensively and everything as well. Brings these Hydras up. A lot of cannons being made. That is a solid 7 cannons going up here for Shuttle, but it doesn't seem like this is a real attack. Okay, he ends up canceling 2 of them, so that makes a lot more sense. He's going to start throwing some of these gateways up here as well. You can see actually a big bank right now for Shuttle, so he needs to get those gates up and start macroing out so that he can get onto the map.
Yeah, the gateway was picked off at the entrance. Not a huge deal, honestly. It seems like the Forge is covered well enough with cannons that he should be fine, but we've got a lot more gateways coming down, but is this too late? It feels like it's a little bit slow. You know, so much for the Protoss is about trying to get out as quick as possible. You stop making probes at about 8 minutes. Try to come out on the map, with something and you're going to have to figure out, okay, am I expanding or am I pushing? The way that Jaedong's playing, it looks like he wants to have a fight in the middle of the map. We don't have a 4th base yet. From what I understand, generally it's like you look for a 4th base, and if not, you just start expanding and wait for their 4th base and try to push.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you just kind of like macro up your units, secure your 3rd. Because, like, yeah, that makes sense. If they're sitting on 3 bases and they're not expanding, that means, well, they're doing something. They're making units.
Yeah,
so
and they're probably making Mutalisks, too. I mean, that's another issue. Corsairs counter Mutalisks, but sometimes the Mutalisks will just fly in and kill the Templars anyways. Like, after the Templars are killed, you don't really care about the Mutas as much, and so I would imagine Shuttle's going to have to try to inch out on the map and see what he can get done here.
Yeah, well, he does come out right now and utilizes these Zealots to take those shots from those Hydras while he clears out the Overlord. More Hydras coming up, so he is going to run those 4 Zealots away, and we'll see what he's able to do with that. I think he has 8 gates right now, if I'm not mistaken. I am kind of thinking back to one of our earlier groups where we saw Best for Shine. He ended up making 11 gates, and I was, like, really intrigued by that in a game that felt like he was really far behind and he was able to come back. And I kind of had that in the back of my mind. I know we're kind of getting further into the game, but do you think that could be something that we start seeing a bit more? Like the extra gateway counts?
Well, I mean, you can get up to 9 and even a little bit over that if you can't expand. It's not so much like a situation where, like, oh, I'm going to go for 9 gates or I'm going to go for 11. It's like, I haven't been able to take a 3rd base yet.
Yeah.
This money has to go somewhere if I'm playing correctly.
We have that in TVP too. Sometimes you get in a bad spot and you're like, I guess we're going 7 packs on 2 bases.
It's exactly like that. It's like, well, I have to spend this money. You know what I mean? There's no... Truly, you have to burn through the resources you have in the moment in order to have a stable position as the game develops. There's very rare moments. I guess an example of a rare moment where you save up is when the Zerg banks all the money for Duelist, right? Yeah. But, I mean, we don't have a whole lot of those situations for Terran and Protoss because of the way they produce off of these individual buildings. So, Jaedong's got some lurkers and Hydras outside the base, but it doesn't look like this is a committed lurker contain. You can go for a lurker contain, by the way. You can do it. I feel like the really good Protosses don't lose to it, but every once in a while we'll have a game in ASL where we see like the classic lurker contain. And it looks like this is going to be one, but Shuttle's moving out right now and the lurkers aren't done. Oh, it seems perfect for Shuttle. He has a really good Dragoon count. He has a lot of High Templars. He has those observers ready for when they do hatch. Yeah, I'm really digging what I'm seeing here from Shuttle. Now, he rotates over towards that 3rd base. He definitely needs to get that going. I love the Zealot going off in a different direction as well, just to get some scouting done. Can he break through this right now? Is this the time? Yeah, he's going to try to come through now. This is a pretty narrow area, but honestly, there's not that many lurkers, right? Like, he seems to have enough Dragoons. The Observer has not been sniped. Usually, the Hydras will try to dive in on that. And Shuttle's like, look, he's doing it, man. Wow. I think this lurker contain was maybe 30 seconds too late. You really need like 12 lurkers already down, and you need to be sniping the Observer much quicker. You can see that the Zealots are filtering in through the back. He never sent the Zealots in to just die randomly on top of the lurkers. He did lose his High Templars there, unfortunately. That tile set, by the way, very hard to see the lurkers on, and there is a little flank coming in, but the extra Zealots rallied out of Shuttle's main base, doing a great job dealing damage and tanking for him. But if he ends up losing all these Dragoons, I feel like Jaedong might start to run away with this game. Yeah, well, he's barely fighting this off. I'm actually kind of stunned because it looked like it was so clearly going to be a favorable push here from Shuttle, but like there's just enough Hydras. And we'll come down to control as well, by the way. Now, the Observer is still in the game. You got to be careful when your Zealots fight Lurkers, because if a couple Lurker shots connect on all the Zealots, they just die.
Yeah.
They're not that much better than, and not as bad as Marines, but you can get close and you get enough Lurkers together. They just kind of melt everything.
Enough Lurkers melt anything.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. So,
only the Ultra can stand up to that.
that's right. And we only get that game once every 25 years.
Yeah.
So, look, the reality is that Shuttle's still okay, but it's starting to get concerning for the Protoss. He needs to get a third base, or he needs to get a push. And the fact that Jaedong was able to kind of slam the door shut on that push is worrying.
Yes. I am certainly worried for him. He is still up in supply, which is promising, but no third Nexus started yet. So that doesn't feel too good for me when I'm looking at this. Oh, I don't know what that Observer was doing
That was
out
weird.
in the middle.
Well, especially in a game like this, the Observer is like the most important unit in the game.
Yeah, it's not PvT or PvP. You're not
Yeah.
going to scout with that thing.
Yeah,
That is.
You're like, there are Lurkers outside my base, but there are also Lurkers in the middle of the map. It's not that kind of game. So he's sending the Zealots in with the Dragoons. I want to point out, mechanically, this is really taxing on both sides. So sometimes people say, like, why are the Zealots still hitting Lurkers? It's really hard. You need to, like, haul ass and get out there and do something really fast. He does bust it, so he's free on the map. So that expansion starts, by the way, as well. And I think we're going to see a push.
And he did lose another Observer there as well. He was on attack move, and Jaedong was able to pick that off. But he has another Observer with this army. A big rally coming in right now. That third Nexus gets started, but Jaedong is counterattacking, so he will be able to shut that down. But does Jaedong have enough here at home to hold on?
Yeah, I mean, that's the big question. Usually if you see a Lurker Contain fail, that means the Protoss's push is going to be a lot stronger. Because the Zerg was investing way more on trying to stop this moment that we're seeing here from ever happening. He's going to come in from behind. The Storms are pretty good, but I think that, unless I'm seeing this wrong, I think Jaedong just barely has enough again.
I don't know. I
think
Shuttle is actually overwhelming him right now. He's out of Psystorms, but if he has one more rally of Zealots, I think that's going to be enough to actually punish and, like, maybe start killing hatcheries, tech, drones, that type of thing.
No, I underestimated the strength of the push here. Now, notice he's going to go right into the main. This is a great way to end the game if you're behind. Because that's going to be a GG. He wins. Because if he gets into that natural, he gets into the main. The other two bases are irrelevant at that point in time.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense, actually. That's the killing push right there. You can't really, like, even though you might have 3 hatcheries at your third, it doesn't, you're not going to come back by making hydras out of there after they kill your nat and go to your main. So, very well played. Proxy, man.
I want to know if he's going to cheese on this map or not.
Dude.
I feel like when you're a Protoss player, anytime you see like a map with only 2 spawns, it's like you have the perfect ingredients for an all-in. Like, literally, for my own practice, if I have any map with only 2 spawns, I'm like, this is the map I proxy on.
Yeah.
I will always run my proxy, but just because that's part of my toolkit as a competitive player.
And there's no tournaments without 2-player maps.
Yes. There will always be 2-player, or we should say, actually, let me try to correct this here just right now, because I know what you're talking about, but we mean maps with only 2 spawns.
Yes,
not 2-player maps.
Yeah,
These are all just 2-player maps at the end of the day. But
yeah, we play them. Yeah, that's right. But how many spawn locations, right? So, like, that's a big thing. Is most 2-player maps are very Protoss favored, but I think that this is the best one so far. Like, this is, I feel like this is very, very playable as Terran. Even if you're getting offensive gassed and they're proxying gateways and stuff, just the layout of the map does allow Terran to kind of get like 3 bases. Even after a tough start, where a lot of these other maps, like how many games did you win on Eclipse when your opponent was taking their third in PvP?
Oh, yeah,
right?
it was,
a lot.
A lot.
Here, that's not really the case. So I feel like this is a really good 2-player map. Is the mom's spaghetti I was trying to get out.
I think that it was tough for Terrans for a long time on any map where you could get your gas stolen. By the way, people are just still going to be doing this. So he's going to send the probe in here. He's just going to wait until he has that 100 minerals and try to snag the Terran's gas. And, I mean, it's playable for Terran, but this was like a lot of growing pains here for the matchup because it's so punishing.
I was looking at you and talking to you and stuff at the very beginning, so I didn't 100% catch, but that looked like it was like a 10-10. 10 depot, 10 racks. I think he was just. I think he was getting his racks a little bit faster here, because its proxy gate is so common, right? So like if you get a regular 11 barracks, the Zealot is like there as your Marine is popping out. right? So I think he might have gotten it a little bit earlier, so maybe he'll have like one more Marine against Zealot harassment, which could be very good. But Shuttle didn't really do that. Shuttle's doing like a more laid-back build, right? Like he takes the gas, but like his gate's on the other side of the map, so he doesn't sacrifice that much economy.
No, this is like Bisu does this a lot. This seems to be the trending build for all the best players. Is this sort of, it's like a light pressure. So the gateway and the pylon, it does create a wall as well, which is it's more handy later on. But basically, the fact that the Zealot gets there a few seconds earlier, it really does make a big difference if the Terran's trying to recover their own Vespian gas geyser. Yeah, I mean, you basically take the gas, and you don't do a whole lot. You put pressure on, and then you just take a Nexus. And the idea is that it's pretty hard for Terran to do a counter push with just SCVs and Marines.
Yeah.
Although we do have games where that happens and works. We've seen Flash pull that off. But you're basically just expanding, and your Dragoon range, your Robo is a little bit quicker. You're just kind of more comfortable. There are issues where the Protoss has to know kind of exactly what they're doing, because Terrans are so good at dealing with this now. But yeah, I mean, look, the gas is just now going to be reclaimed. It looks like Terran's microing right now, but the gas is going to be started any second now. There it is. And, you know, the factory is that much later. It's about a 3-minute, 20-second gas geyser for the Terran.
Yeah, which is pretty late. To put in perspective, at pro level, normally it's around 140 for the gas, give or take a few seconds. So yeah, they're definitely very, very late there, but since he's against a gasless expansion here from Shuttle, it's not the end of the world. Shuttle does have 3 Zealots, so you have to watch out. He may try a run by. In fact, this is, if he was going to, that was the exact moment, but he has one very injured one, so I think that was probably smart not to do it.
Yeah, a lot of times with the Zealots that you have, what you want to do is run right by the bunker, and then you run into the main and you kill the SCVs that are making the factory. You're just delaying factory tech. You know, you delay the. Wait, what? Whoa, 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 whoa.
Oh, is he doing a bio all-in? What's going on here?
Wait, he canceled the CC? Yeah. Well, he's getting.
What was it actually a CC he made?
It could have been a barracks as well. You can fake it because it looks the same.
Okay, he sees that this is canceled. Dude, Shuttle, what in the hell am I looking at? Okay, so he gets in. The building is canceled. There's 4 Marines in the bunker and 3 up the ramp, and he keeps walking forward. So he loses a ton of health, loses an extra Zealot. This is just a Marine like push with SCVs, and I think like a medic, maybe he'll have stim or something. But like Shuttle might just die. Shuttle needs to actually get a pylon in position to try to hold his ramp, because I don't think he can hold the natural.
Yeah, I don't know if this was always the plan. Oh, I guess maybe it was, because there's a medic here. I didn't realize the medic was out already. This is like a game I've never quite casted Artosis. I'm trying to wrap my head around this one. And he starts the command center later, by the way. What?
Oh, wow. Wow. This is very interesting. We never see anything quite like this. It looks like he wants to go after the pylon. Now, forward Zealots come, and he does have that shield battery, so like he can actually heal them quite a bit. And you see a lot of damage being put down. Now, I believe that we must have an extra pylon being made, because if this pylon dies, and you don't have a pylon behind, yeah, he is making one. Because the cannons could end up holding this, but this is very tough right now.
Oh my god, that pylon is so late. The shields are all gone on the cannons. Keep in mind, guys, the battery can't recharge the cannons here. So, like, this is really, this is like a real dilemma here. I think he's going to hold. Yeah, he kills the bunker off. You know, nothing is quite as unfair as everything Tier 1 Terran has versus Protoss cannons.
Yes.
Like, it's insane. Like, it's so bad that you actually almost never see the interaction, because people just know. It's like, well, I would never engage with the cannon, but that's a great example of that. So, what's weird about this, from what I'm seeing, I'm curious your thoughts as well, because we never actually casted this play from Terran.
Yeah.
Is it seems like it's too middle of the road. He like both went for bio, and then also expanded behind it. Yeah. But Protoss holds.
Protoss does hold. But with the command center up, like if he hadn't gone command center, maybe he would have had enough units to break through. But he did go command center. I think he's kind of lucky that Shuttle pulled a ton of probes to fight there and was just a little bit late on his defense. Like his reaction to this wasn't super fast. If he had a really optimized reaction against this, I think that he would have held it really cleanly and be really ahead right now. But I don't think that he is ahead. Like, look at this. We have 3 factories coming up, an engineering bay. I believe we have more workers for JYJ.
Oh, that could be true.
I believe
Protoss cuts a
not
lot.
100%
When they get
sure.
rushed, you like just stop making workers. You're like,
Yeah.
oh my god, because usually, like the theory basically goes like if you just hold off the weird rush Terran does, you're fine. The rest of the game
Yeah.
is easy for you. Now that being said, I think JYJ is actually looking pretty scary. The Protoss is on 2 gateways right now. I think we have almost 4 or maybe even 5 factories for Terran.
we have 3 facts right now, and that was in eBay. That other.
Oh,
block
I'm
that you
sorry.
see on
Okay,
the-
okay.
on the
I thought it
map.
was. I was gonna say like it's kind of crazy if it
Yeah.
was that many factories. You're right. That's an eBay. My bad.
The thing is, the factory's finished late, so he doesn't, like, 3 factory can do very well against 2 gate, but in this case, it's going to take him a long time to catch up unit-wise, I would say. There is a robo on the way. I mean, this game, I think it's going to mostly normalize, but I do
think so.
feel like JYJ has a slightly better position here.
Yeah, I think JYJ is looking. Well, it's weird. I mean, I don't know. Shuttle has had a little bit of a clunky game here. I love this push, by the way. The number of times that you can just run up and kill the bunker off.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things where it's like it feels wrong.
It is wrong.
Because...
That's why it
it's
feels
like,
that way,
well,
Tasteless.
couldn't they just repair it? It's like, you'd be surprised how hard it is to get the SUVs off the minerals and over there. This attack is the worst thing I've ever seen in my whole life.
Yeah.
This is really bad. I was talking about that bunker get killed off, and I
Yeah.
just watched these SUVs slowly engulf the Dragoons and just killed him.
Well,
Oh my
Tasteless, you
God.
said it feels wrong. It's because it is wrong, and you see the type of move that follows up, just randomly trying to kill the bunker. It's like he randomly kills the bunker, he sees the tank, he's like, now I'll get that. And he's like, I'm going to kill you with these goons that already have taken a ton of damage.
The truth is, I've done the same thing where like I kill the bunker and I'm like, I think I win the game now. And I'm like running and trying to kill everything and I lose all my stuff.
Yeah.
I think the correct way to play is you kill the bunker and you just run away. 'Cause
Yeah.
You can always counterattack another base later.
Yeah,
or try
yeah.
to push out, but
Dude, Dragoons, like, in smaller numbers, SCVs actually kill them.
yeah.
Like, once you get a bunch, like, let's say you have, like, more than 6 Dragoons, I think that can do very well. But, like, that was, like, 5 Dragoons, man. You can't even one-shot an SCV. So the SCVs come out, and it's like a swarm of bees.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
those goons better
Well,
go
also-
jump in a lake if they want to live.
SCVs like have so much HP and Dragoons actually attack so slowly.
Yeah.
And they're also just buggy units, like they get stuck sometimes.
Yeah.
I feel like it's funny because the Dragoon seems to be like the most basic unit in the game, but there's actually a big learning curve to being good with like using them and knowing when you can win fights and when you should run away. Interesting, he's going to take the island spot over
Dude,
here.
that's hilarious. He's taking that expand, and people don't take that often, especially this early as a third base. Like, never. But
Think about the
there
fact
just
that-
happens to be a barracks floating there. I think that's really funny.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about the games we've already casted on this map, and we've never really remarked on this location because, you know, people don't normally expand there. Usually it feels like the game has to be super crazy, and then somebody goes here, but I guess...
Yeah.
I also, in almost all the games I've casted of Shuttle, I feel like if he gets his shuttle out, he's like, all right, is there an island? If so, I will send my one probe there. And I guess it's like, yeah, why not? Why would you not do that? You know, create that opportunity for later on.
Well, he actually picked the probe back up once the barracks saw him.
Yeah.
So I guess he's not going to. I almost feel like I'd leave that there. Dude,
Same.
it's so funny there's a fire bat here. A fire bat chasing a probe. Guys, make a wish.
Yeah, we've
You
seen
won't-
it all now.
Yeah, you won't see that again for another 10 years. But yeah, like, I feel like I might have even just left the probe as an opportunity later that you don't have to dedicate a ton of attention to.
I would have done the same thing, yeah.
Yeah.
I would be like, no, I mean, let's just keep the option available, but...
Yeah.
That's interesting. He would like pick it up and then like make the probe mine minerals.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
send it back home.
It's like, okay, I mean, that's great, but I mean, the 19th probe on the mineral patches isn't going to make a very big difference. Okay, now here comes the push. This is part of the reason why I think this map can be really playable for Terran. A push like this is very hard to stop if you don't have something like Psystorm or Reavers at least.
Yeah, well, it's such a narrow area. The Protoss can't really engage with it. If you're in like really like constricted positions, Terran's always better. You Protoss want to fight in the open and try to run around you and flank you and all that stuff. So JYJ's got a pretty good. Oh no! Get on the battery! Oh,
It's unpowered.
Oh, is it unpowered?
Yeah,
That's
it's
so
just
funny.
out of range of those pylons.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. I think our boy Shuttle is going to die.
He's
Artosis.
done, man. He's super done.
We could look at this fight here, but I'm going back to all those Dragoons dying after they busted the bunker. And SCVs
yeah.
killed him.
having a reasonably sized army may have helped against the push that came.
Yeah.
But when you're giving up 5 goons to kill a bunker, that is, and it's like damaged Marines in there as if you care about your Marines at this point. Like JYJ, this was a weird one. Cases, I don't know if we'll ever see something quite like the push he did ever again.
Yeah, GG, that is that. Okay, we've got Zerg here in the top, Terran in the bottom. I'm curious how TY is going to do here. I don't think we got to see TY's true form. As a reminder, if you guys are just now joining, like I know some people skip through the intros of the shows and just get to the games because we only have so much time on this earth. But look, the player TY is one of the greatest StarCraft 1 legends of all time. Sorry, StarCraft 2 legends of all time. Yeah. I mean, TY has played in insane packed arenas, you know, in Katowice. He's been in the finals of GSL. He is one of the most decorated players. It's so cool to see him here now.
Yes.
And so I want to emphasize that because there's a lot of fans that just watch StarCraft 1. And, you know, StarCraft 2, it's whatever. Either they're not into it, but you should know that, like, TY, it's huge that he's here now. It's really exciting.
It's a big deal that he made it, and like looking at the overall player pool, when I saw the player pool, I was like, oh, he might actually be like the weakest player that qualified, which is really weird because he is very good, but you can almost see like a little bit of a difference between his play and other people's, but I feel like he's bridging the gap really quickly.
Yeah, well, also, you know, it does seem like StarCraft 2 translates well into StarCraft 1.
For sure.
Let's not forget that, you know, there was an ASL where Rain dominated. Solkey and Rain were basically the 2 best StarCraft 2 players that came back to StarCraft 1.
Yeah.
And they both are ASL champions now.
Yes.
So, you know, TY, if he sticks with it, and, you know, again, this game's going to be around forever. It's not like we're worried about what's going to happen next year with StarCraft 1. I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with him here now, because I think he's got so much potential.
Yeah, and there's not much prize money in StarCraft 1. StarCraft 2 has way more prize money, so TY would win more money there. But if you join the top echelon of pros, you make way more money streaming and playing in their pro leagues than you would winning tournaments in StarCraft.
Exactly.
In StarCraft 2. So, and you know, obviously it's super hard to win tournaments in StarCraft 2. So it's not like steady income.
Yeah, the funny thing with StarCraft 2 is we still have professional players who don't stream.
Yes.
They're like, no, I'm good.
If you're good enough, you absolutely, like, Cyril's made, you know, so much money. Like, over $1 million in prize money plus, you know, his salaries and stuff like that. And there's several players like that.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's kind of the other universe that StarCraft 2 is. There's so much money competitively.
Yeah.
That, like, there are players, like, don't even have Twitter accounts.
Yeah.
They can just show up to tournaments, win, and then they just do whatever they want in their spare time.
Yeah.
Where StarCraft 1 is, I think, and I think this is good, by the way, but it's kind of forced a little bit of entrepreneurial behavior from the players, where it's like, well, if you want to do this, you got to build a YouTube, you got to stream on Afreeca TV or wherever you're going to stream. And yeah, so anyways, the whole point I was trying to make is, like, we've talked about other players being new in ASL and like, oh, how are they going to perform under this pressure? You know, maybe they're good on the ladder, but this is a different beast. TY, I'm not thinking that way. He is very cool. He's been on stages that are bigger than almost all the players that are in this tournament. And you know, maybe he dies out here. Maybe he beats Jaedong. That would also be pretty hype. But regardless, I want to see the next couple seasons if TY can keep coming back and getting better and better, because this guy's got a lot of potential.
Yeah. So right now, I don't know what's going on here.
I don't know what in the world I'm looking at. There's a factory
strange.
on the far left.
I don't
know why it would be, first of all, hidden. Second of all, hidden that far away?
So here's my guess. First off, that is so far out of the picture that it won't get scouted.
Ever.
So my only guess here is he will Valkyrie rush and he will go speed vulture and make 3 vultures, and as the mutas come to his base, he'll go kill every drum. That is the only thing I can think of. And in that case, you don't want to pressure heavily with your Marines, because if he makes a sunken, it could ruin it.
By the way, this looks like a StarCraft 2 build.
Dude, all of his plays do.
Two
Really.
bases and the factories hidden on the map.
Yeah.
Never, like, if you covered up the IDs and I didn't know TY was in this tournament, I would be like, who is this Terran right now?
Yeah.
This is not an ASL Terran. This is insane.
It's very cool that he brings that style, but you're completely correct. Like, I casted a game of him, actually on this map against Snow recently on my YouTube, and he went 3 dropships. And I'm like, what am I even looking at here? And it was a close, good game against Snow. So, I mean, he's definitely bringing his own brand here. Dude, I told you. There you go.
Yeah, you nailed it. I would not have been able to predict this.
No one has ever done this.
Yeah.
This is not a build that we have ever seen in ASL. I have never seen this, but it does make sense.
Yeah. I mean, this is wild, man.
And he is going Valkyrie. And
very map tailored, by the way. Very much like, okay, well, we're both on the right side of the map. In TVZ, Overlords are not floating on the left.
Yes.
So this,
this probably wouldn't work on any other map.
Yeah, literally.
That's crazy.
This is wild. Maybe you could do this on Butter. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, this is...
And also, I want to throw out there, like, he has to kill a bunch of drones because he skipped Academy. That's, like, what he skipped to be able to do this.
Well, his turrets are late, so this might just not work. This might be, like, a really cool idea.
Are his turrets actually completely
He has no
late? He didn't
turrets.
start?
He just started them.
Oh, boy. Well, this is what happens when you don't make the Academy. You don't get the perfect timing against the mutas. That's rough, man. This might go bad. This might go really badly. Oh, no. He is making turrets? Oh, I'm scared, Tasteless. I want to see this build in action.
I want this strategy to work so badly right now. By the way, Marines without stim versus mutas. There's not much that's sadder than that. Okay, here we go. Here we go.
Dude, this could be huge. So it takes 3 vultures to one-shot a drone here because, again, instant point of heal. And he is killing, like I told you, he's going to kill every single drone here. It's like the time that the mutas take to fly back, and that gives him time to get more defense up at home. I think TY is going to just eliminate Jaedong with a build Jaedong's never seen.
I mean, this is insane. Okay, so he's gotten so many kills. Do you keep making vultures, by the way, when you do this?
No, I think you're done. I think from here, you just go heavy anti-mutiling. And what does Jaedong do? Jaedong's on like 5 drones.
Yeah, imagine 4 Valkyries right now.
Dude,
it's like...
Yeah, you're going to get enough to kill the mutas and you win the game.
Dude, this is wild, man.
Looks like he did make 1 more, and that'll be a little bit annoying, but I don't think it's going to be.
You know, sometimes we like build a narrative, and then like it just doesn't happen. It's just a bad game. This is like literally, it's like our dreams are coming true. Like we talked about how good TY was, like how well StarCraft 2 does translate into StarCraft 1, and we're seeing this like totally original strategy.
And he plays like it's StarCraft 2. This looks like a StarCraft 2 build.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
Like this is the type of way that Terrans play in StarCraft 2. Like you might proxy 1 building, attack their economy, and tech up really quickly with it. Like that's very common.
Ditch the tech after that.
Yeah.
And, this is just so well planned out. So
it's funny because there's several things you have to hit. Like, for instance, if Jaedong had just happened to go like 2 hatch lurker, he just wins. you know?
Yeah.
So like it has to be muta. It has to be a map where you can hide a factory in a place that there's 0% chance for them to do anything. Look at this, he's going to stop some drones from coming over. Jaedong is droning up as quickly as he can, right? So he's trying to keep TY busy with his mutas while droning up into the 3 bases. But I think we're going to hit like this push out where it's like, basically I think as soon as Stim and range are done, you'll have about 3 or 4 Valkyries and you should be able to walk out and win the game.
Yeah. Muta's fine this, by the way. But I mean, you could totally go without the factory right now. I mean, this is so cool. The Marines are going to be coming across the map.
How do you hold this?
I think you don't. I mean, you know this.
You have to make mass sunken.
Everybody's had the game. Oh, that was pretty bad.
Yeah, that was bad.
You know, I don't know what year we're going to get it where players don't lose Valkyries, like to what
Killing overlords.
Just doing anything. It's like...
Well, Tasteless, I'll let you know that anytime I can even do that. I'm even thinking about him like, he probably doesn't have Scourge right near this, and I lose a Valkyrie killing the Overlord. I'm like, oh.
Valkyries are so clunky, even after they fix them and remastered, they're just like, they're such like, even though they counter muta so hard, they're such D-tier units, you know what I mean? They're just like not, they're not
They're hard
responsive.
to control, man.
Yeah.
They actually get frozen once they start shooting.
Yeah, yeah, and they're like wind up or whatever, like to not even to stop moving. I don't know. It's crazy. So, look, I mean, I wouldn't count Jaedong out entirely, but it's hard to imagine just mathematically how you would ever recover from losing that many drones early on.
Maybe there's some world here where like Jaedong can do like a hold position lurker type of play because of like vessels or something.
Oh yeah, sure.
I'm kind of brainstorming here on what possibly could occur. There are some interesting aspects, like he killed the factory, right? So you don't get a second starport anytime soon. So, TY, like, he's actually not even getting his second gas because he doesn't need it because he can't have 2 starports.
Right.
But, yeah, I think, like I said before, you have to basically mass sunk a colony here and grind out a pretty long game as Jaedong.
Yeah, I mean, basically turtle it up and hope you can hang on. We have Hydras hatching. I don't know if there's any of the natural yet, but I think hold position lurker is already... It's basically too late. Like, you would have wanted to have hold position lurkers where the Terran's moving through the middle of the map.
Yeah. Now, here comes TY. There are a lot of sunkens on the way for Jaedong at the natural, but the third base should be pretty wide open. It's got 2 different entry points, so that's going to be hard in and of itself. And he is trying to get some lurkers out. I'm not sure if the lurker upgrade's actually done yet, though.
Yeah. Well, I don't see any lurker eggs. Oh, no, I see lurker eggs.
Okay, just started those.
This is kind of funny. I thought for sure we were going to see him push into the natural, but he's actually going to come up to this third base. This is like the longest place to try to push to. Funnily enough, the Hydrogen's here too. Not that it's like the hardest thing to remake a Hydrogen, but this could end up falling as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like these lurkers are literally just seconds late. And
Yeah.
if he gets the spread, he unburrows and they kind of bug on each other.
He's trying to save anything he can. He knows that this base is completely doomed.
Oh,
yeah.
my God. Oh, my
That's
God.
it. That's
Okay.
it.
Look, I'll tell you what. It's a bummer to see Jaedong knocked out.
Yes.
We know that he's basically, it's better for StarCraft if Jaedong lives longer
Yes.
in tournaments. But
Yes.
that is the hypest game of the day. I mean,
For sure.
TY came in here with some big brain play.
Big brain. And we were talking about it before. Ace and I have casted StarCraft 2 since the beginning, and TY is probably...
Okay, both players hugging the bottom. Shuttle on the left side, TY on the right. We're going to be on the map Retro. Whenever you have this matchup and both players are sharing a corner of the map, it's a big deal for Retro.
Yeah, it is. Cross spawn here is pretty hard to deal with for Terran. It's really hard to push around correctly. Here, I guess you have that your close third base. Like, if the spawns were reversed, it would be a bit better for TY. But, there's a few things that are coming to mind for me right now, okay? Retro can be tricky because it gets very hard to hold 4 bases. There's other maps where you have like a quadrant, like Vermeer, Polypoid. These maps that have like 16 bases on them that are 4-player maps, they are generally split up into quadrants of 4 bases. This is a 12-base map plus the middle minerals, so it's split up into quadrants of 3. So you have like 3 bases that are really not that hard to get, but getting the 4th is like you're so far away for that it's really hard to defend all your bases and attack at the same time as Terran.
Yeah.
Which, what I've really noticed on this map is it's very hard to max out more than one time. Like, a lot of games are like, okay, when you start attacking, you have to be careful, and you have to make sure you're not losing your army, because without 4-base economy, you can't really build it back, and you never know how long your 4-base is going to last.
Right. This is Nexus on 12, by the way. So this is a very strong build. There are some weaknesses early on, but basically if Protoss survives the next few minutes, they're very comfortable.
Yes.
The only, I guess I would say the only downside of this build is you get detection later. And so there is a window where Terran can be sneaky. We've seen some Terrans take like a very fast third base or a hidden third base to deal with this, usually off of spider mines.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also find this map, to be honest, we talked about this before, I find this map really hard to play on.
Yes.
It's a well-designed map, but it is hard. You can get like mixed up really easily on a map like this. By the way, Shuttle, it's kind of crazy how good people are with worker control now.
Yeah.
Like, this has basically been in the last couple years we see this. Good Protoss players now, if they find your worker, they just moving shot and chase it, which is, by the way, macroing, like trying to hit all your marks and do this is really hard, while the other players, like, just gotta try to move away. They'll just moving shot and try to kill it, so you literally don't even get to scout them. So the idea is that TY wouldn't even know that this is fast expand, and he doesn't. He doesn't know if Protoss is top left or bottom left yet.
Yeah, and this is very bad for TY. Like, the fact that Shuttle caught that SCV and bought that much time, your choice, like the window to make the third depot, lines up perfectly with the end scout finding the Nexus.
Yeah.
So the fact that he is not going to find that on time, well, he starts a 4th Marine here. If he happens to go for a 3rd depot, that could be very, very good for him. And this is a greedy Nexus first from Shuttle as well.
Yeah.
There's no cannon, and there's only 1 gateway, which means he does not have to skip probes.
So he could be killed with a rush.
Yeah, this is... Yeah, if you scouted this right away, 100% of the time you'll kill the Nexus.
Yeah.
But here, it's like this is actually the strongest opener in the matchup, is exactly what Shuttle did, and he's going to get away with it.
Yeah.
And it's not fair!
It takes no skill! So the SCV is going to come up. He doesn't even get to scout if it's 1 gate or 2. I mean, this is wild, man.
Yeah, that's very, very tough.
I don't normally talk about, like, the first few seconds, or first few minutes, I guess, of the game, and like, is this one-sided or not? I mean, Shuttle is currently dominating.
Yes.
Just on denying information.
So he gets the very fast, I didn't notice, but this must have been 11 gas, because you get the Vulture there before the Dragoon if you go for that. So Shuttle pulls the probes for now, and he will miss some mining time, and he will miss making a probe or 2 while he clears that, but that was absolutely the right play from Shuttle. I think Shuttle has played this perfectly so far, really, especially with that probe in the top right.
After seeing that pretty disappointing game earlier versus JYJ, I mean, Shuttle's really brought it back.
Yes.
This is very impressive stuff. And so, you know, what does Terran want to do? It's kind of hard. You're playing from a pretty bad position. Like, that command center is still constructing. Protoss has been mining from this Nexus for a while now. The 2 Vultures, there's actually a 3rd that's just been made. Not a real threat, I think.
Not too much. Not too much. He wants to lay some mines up here. He's just kind of pressuring. He knows that range is going to be pretty late, and Marine Vulture actually beats unranged goons. It looks like his upgrade finishes, so he should be able to just lay a few mines out at this point. I don't see him really doing that right now, but I'm sure he will. But yeah, this is a tough position for TY, and I think especially on this map. You know what I was talking about in regards to, like, it's really hard to get that 4th base? Well, I mean, especially, it's hard anyways when they go for a greedy Nexus first, where they're not skipping any probes and they just macro up. It's like, well, they have a lot of units, right? It's going to be even harder now.
Yeah, I mean, this is... Oh! Okay. Dude, he's crazy. You don't even have to do this right now, man. This is wild. He's, like, running out, like, just triggering the mines and shooting them down. So one of the scary things about playing versus Nexus first is that there's no real wrong way to play post Nexus first for Protoss.
That's right.
You could go mass gateways. You could take a 3rd base. You can go for carriers.
Yeah.
You could go for 2-base arbiter.
You know, Reaver, you can go DT drop.
I've literally seen DT drop.
Yeah,
I've seen people
it's
go
popular
for, like,
right now.
Is that right? Yeah.
It is. A lot of people are doing that after Nexus first. And look at this. TY is actually putting on so much pressure. It's insane. Because Shuttle actually moved Dragoons up because he wants to take his 3rd quickly. That's probably the best thing to do off Nexus first, is to take a 3rd quickly.
I think so.
Because you're really shooting your economy forward and there's no punish to it. But he had his 2 Dragoons up there, so TY just walks forward with his first tank, picks off a goon. You know, we haven't mentioned it yet, but TY did go for a very fast armory here. So he is going for those upgrades, but I don't think it's going to be a 2-1. I think what we'll see is a 5 or 6 factory from TY. That's my best guess. Because if you don't make a ton of units quickly, you're going to be in a lot of trouble, because Shuttle's going to be on 3 base with like 66 probes, and he is going to macro like a beast.
Yeah, he's looking pretty fearsome right now. We've got these Vultures coming up here. He'll know that there's a 3rd base being taken there. So for Terran, I mean, is it better to try to do a 2-base push? Do you try to play for a long game? I mean, from this perspective, what are you going for?
Well, 5 or 6 factory is going to be good. You're going to have the very fast +1, so that's all right. And if you can figure out, like, some people like to get Fast Academy with this. I think TY skipped that. I didn't see an Academy being made. But sometimes you can check and just, like, kind of check the gateway count and be like, okay, I think I can actually push in here. In this case, I think Shuttle's going to be too far ahead on supply, probably.
Yeah.
So I think you go 5-fact, you try to make Shuttle think you might attack, you know, because Protoss is going to have to take it seriously. You can't just, you know, take a 4th when you scout this, right?
Right.
And then maybe TY secures his 3rd base and it just goes long. I think that's what we're probably going to see.
So we've got these factories coming down now. Yeah, I mean, we're going into a heavy macro game. I saw a Citadel was making on the Protoss side of things. I assume that we might have Arbiter tech coming up here.
It could be. I like Arbiter here.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I don't generally like Arbiter if I went like Gateway first, but I feel like with Quick Nexus, Arbiter's actually not that bad.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times Terran's kind of forced to do something, and an Arbiter, when Terran has to push quickly, is pretty handy.
Absolutely. And it's especially good on Retro as well. Retro is a remake of Fighting Spirit, and the 3rd base or the 4th base, whatever, those like 12, 6, 3, and 9 are kind of far away and very good for Arbiter recalls. Like if you recall there, the base is minimum shut down for a while, and maximum you get the kill.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a good play. He could also be going for Templar drop. I mean, Templar drop is, I think, more common, but yeah, if we don't, do we have a Stargate anywhere? I guess we don't. Normally, you start the Stargate and the Templar archives at the same time. That's the what telegraphs to us that it's going to be Arbiter.
Maybe he just goes Storm with Gateway units.
That's fine. Yeah. This almost seems to be the mainline play. Although generally speaking, we see Shuttle Speed and Reavers too. Yeah. Leading into that, I feel like that's, if you want to have the most comfortable late game, figure out how to get Shuttle Speed. Like, figure out how to incorporate some Reavers there. Slow shuttles with Templars is fine. I feel like we saw that experimented with a lot in 2010, and it kind of went away. I think just because it's hard to get the Templars out. But yeah. Anyways, we've got a push coming up here. We've got a lot of tanks moving out. It looks like he flirted with going into the middle of the map, and he's going to loop back around here and come through the bottom, which I think going through the bottom is probably a little bit better.
Yeah, but pushing down that ramp against an arc of Protoss units won't really be doable. So my guess is he's going to threaten that. Oh, I love the Marine block.
That was sick. Dude, that was so good. He just plugged that up. That is a hero Marine.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so I need to see some IDs, sir.
Okay, so here comes the Speed Zealots. He does have the shuttle there as well. The Zealots getting up here to get on top of siege tanks. Kind of sloppy from Shuttle. He is actually going to drop out Zealots on top of the tanks there on the low ground. And a lot of tanks, I think, will end up dying here. Oh man, is that tank is just barely going to live. Dude, this was not a very, like, I thought he was going to do a little bit better with that, but Shuttle has lost a lot of units as well.
I mean, this is definitely a clunky fight, but I think at the end of the day, it was a success here for Shuttle. Yeah. Now, the question is, does he want to keep going? I see Zealots coming up here. He is going to keep going. You know, there's not that many Vultures, and when there's not that many Vultures, you kind of don't have to respect the Terran's position. Like, these Dragoons can get right on top of this and just wipe this out. He's going to keep pressing forward here, and, you know, I'm going to be honest, like, I don't know if TY can recover that well. If you see a Terran make a bunch of factories move out and lose all their units, it's hard to imagine a world where they're going to recover.
Shuttle is like doing Nexus first and a 3-base gateway. He made the Templar archives, but we haven't seen any spellcasters. He's literally just like running into TY. Look at this.
This looks wrong.
No, this part needs to stop. This is not right.
This looks like one of my games. I'll be yelling at my chat in about 3, 2, 1. Like, I'm stunned that he is setting Dragoons by themselves up to fight Vultures that are protecting tanks on another low ground on the other side.
It's weird.
That's insane.
After you reduce the tank count that heavily, I think it's very obvious that you go ahead and double expand.
Yeah, I think once you reduce the tank count, you need to know when it's time to back off. You got to go, okay, no. I did what I needed to do. Yeah. Now I need to start to take all these bases because he can't push me. One of the easiest ways for Protoss to lose to Terran after they've won is they keep attacking into entrenched positions. Yeah.
Just that is how Terrans end up recovering a lot of the time, is the Protoss is too eager to finish. And it's like, well, I mean, if you kill off that many tanks, it's really obvious there can't be an attack coming. Sure, keep macroing up, but just save your army, because you're going to get like this big army that he can't really push down into. like I said before, if you make an arc outside the bottom of that ramp, he can't push down there. Like, you'll have Zealots running into everything, dragging mines, getting siege tank splash damage. So TY will probably have to come out through the right, which gives you a wide area of attack there as well. Like, just take your Nexuses. But he's very slow on that. Like, TY has his 3rd command center up, and the 4th is not up for Shuttle yet.
Yeah. Yeah, this is like a very retro problem, like for Protoss. I do find, like, just the way this map is shaped and, like, the middle is so far away from the corners.
Yeah.
Sometimes a couple vultures can slow you down so tremendously. So he does take the 2 bases up there. I feel like we haven't gotten a shot of the Protoss' army in a little bit, so I'm not totally clear on where he's at. I did see a Robo support bay, so I think he's going to be getting shuttle speed here. Is this going to be a Reaver, or is this Templars, or
This
what?
is Templars. I saw him load up some Templars there, so drops him out, but looks like the SCV's run in plenty of time. Well, this is why you need speed shuttles, man, so that you're there a little bit quicker, right?
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is slow shuttles are just, they're so slow.
He's literally just used a storm on 1 SCV. I'm sorry. I just have to point that
Yeah,
out.
well, I mean, take what you can get once you get in there, but yeah, I mean, they come in so slowly that, even a pretty bad Terran can pull their SCVs out in time.
Yeah, you definitely want that speed upgrade. Now, look at this. This is pure TY, okay? He's bringing over a dropship that probably has 2 tanks, and he has a bunch of vultures. So what he's going to do is run in, lay mines, and use the vultures to tank. The tanks will pop out, help him kill the goons. Dude, this base is screwed. He's going to kill this 4th base.
Yeah, this is a great play here. This kind of reminds me of the Slayer's Boxer days.
Yeah.
It used to be like just, it's a tank drop. This is going to be a problem. But then it eventually evolves into like, you have the vultures out on the map, and then you just have the tanks come in and cover stuff. Now the vultures are stuck on the outside, so I think this Sim City actually is going to save the day.
Yeah.
That was impressive.
I am impressed with that. I thought for sure he'd be able to get it if he had a way to get his vultures up to block the tanks. So what you do is you lay the mines, you siege the tanks, and you go up. But look, a second dropship. See, this is something.
This is very StarCraft 2. Very StarCraft 2.
Yeah, very, very, very StarCraft 2. This is like exactly the idea of how you play against Protoss in StarCraft 2. You just have multiple dropships all over the place. He's doing a pretty good job. This one lands in cannon range, so that one's a little bit rough. This is being super cost efficient. He was just very annoying in the top left. Maybe it was an evenish trade though. This is exciting to see, man. What a different style.
This is really, really cool, man. Okay, the Zealots are going to come down. And, I mean, look, he's going to clean this up. You can have tons of drops in a PvT, but at the end of the day, you do have to have a push, too. Very rarely are you going to just kill a Protoss off with a couple of dropships.
Yeah.
But I got to say, this is a very good sign, at least for TY's sake.
TY has done a great job. I love that he has 3 add-ons right now. He's really powering up his army quality. When you're doing things like this, a lot of times you're spending a lot of vultures out on the map to buy time, to harass. While you do your drops, you're losing some siege tanks. So the fact that he has those 3 add-ons is awesome. There's a ton of shuttles, though, moving around from shuttle. Look at this.
Okay, big drops coming in here. So we ended up not having our Arbiter tech. He's going to go with the very modern, alternative recall, if you want to call it that. You just fill up tons of shuttles and just dump stuff in the main. And, the Psy Storms end up working out really nicely. Oh, my God. That was brutal.
Dude.
Wait a minute. Are there still stuff in there?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It could be bad.
I feel like the shuttles wouldn't be there if there weren't things in there. Normally you send them back out to fill them up again.
Oh, man, he's going to lose all 5 shuttles. He did kill a lot of SCVs. I don't think it's 100% the end of the world for TY, because you just lost 5 shuttles, and each shuttle probably has 8 supply in it. So that is, it's 50 supply overall that he just utilized there. And yeah, he kills some SCVs, but it's so hard to get a 4th that, your SCVs, you mine out bases. It's you don't actually need the same amount of SCVs on a map like this as a map like Vermeer, for instance, where you're getting bases more easily. So I don't think that was quite as worth it as Shuttle may be thinking it was.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. Shuttle's good, but there is he's got his signature Protoss sloppy play.
Yes.
On top of
He's
all of
got
his
that.
moves.
Yeah.
He's good, but you can see it's not like it's Snow's controlling these shuttles or anything like that. Another drop over here. Again, so StarCraft 2-esque. These little paper cuts you're generating all over the map. You know, the other thing too to keep in mind is like retro, when Terran turtles on 3 bases, there are truly these like impregnable positions.
Yeah.
From the Protost's perspective, like you really need to like just accept that that's going to be where Terran is forever, and try to deal with them later on.
It's more about shutting down 4th or 5th bases than it is killing them on 3 base, because you can't attack into that little choke.
You're more likely to buzz somebody on Fighting Spirit than retro.
Yeah,
like it's hard. It's hard to explain just how clogged up of a map retro is. It looks like it's this open, wide place, but when you start trying to move stuff around, it's very difficult.
Yeah. Now, TY has dropped the bottom left. He's dropped the top left. His overall drop count already in this game is probably more than we've seen ever in TVP and ASL.
Yeah, we're having more drops from Terran than we usually have in an entire day of ASL.
Yeah, I mean, you can see he's got very high APM at 450, but he also has very high DPM.
Artosis.
I'm not even going to elaborate. You guys can
figure it out. We've got more siege tanks down here, and you know, look, Terran. It doesn't. Okay, Terran's finally going to move out. I was going to say we can't really say much else until Terran starts to go on the map. Now, this is not a big army. Frankly, I think that Protoss should probably turn around. He's going to drop some Templars. He's going to try to chip away at this. So. The storms, sometimes in TVP, it'll feel like they're not doing anything, and then like 5 or 6 storms later, everything dies.
Yeah.
And so the concept here, because if you played StarCraft a long time ago, you were thinking, is it carriers or is it arbiters? And instead, you see like these shuttles kind of flying around. You just chip them away, chip away at them, excuse me, with Psystorm, and then eventually you win the game. And it's nice because there's no like. You're not trying to win with a tech swing like with carriers, and you're not hinging everything working on like a recall or a stasis, which is much easier for Terran to deal with.
You have to grind with this comp.
Yeah, and basically you just kind of run in, you storm. When you see too many tanks, you back up. You know that they have to unsiege if they're going to move out, and so you kind of just wait on that.
Dude, I tell you what, like some great D matrices here. Shuttle should be pulling back now. He's attacking 5-6 tanks on high ground with goons. And he gets some storms off, so he does end up eliminating some, but that's like, he lost a lot killing like 3 extra tanks. This is something that we see from Shuttle literally always, by the way. Like, if you can go back and look at other seasons. I remember watching Shuttle attack a 200 supply army on butter through the bottom left near a gas, where it was like 2 inches wide on the screen. He's like, the whole army's going through there.
Yeah.
And we're seeing he's doing moves like that. At the same time, he's up 40 supply. He's taking a bunch of bases. So he can be wasteful to a certain degree if he's reducing siege chain counts.
Yeah. So, you know, 4 bases from the Protoss's perspective is a lot scarier than 3.
Yes.
Like TY he's playing the long game. We are in for a deep, complex PvT here. Protoss takes 12. This leaves us with only the top right spawn and its natural expansion as bases that are available. I think that Shuttle's going to try to come in again. I think it might be too late. This is a little do or die right now.
Yeah.
You know, any of these positions with small ramps, it's true for Fighting Spirit as well. It's once Terran's up there, it's really hard to kind of crack them open.
Yeah.
But he's going to try. He's got some storms coming down here.
He did have some great storms on that bottom right group, and in fact, some Zealots are getting in on top of that. There's actually some blocking going on near the ramp, you can see, but he does turn around and start killing some of those SCVs. And Shuttle is breaking through this 4th. You know, the 4th is kind of far away from everything, so TY has to unsiege some of his other units and bring them up here. Because if he loses that 4th base, I don't think he's winning this game. Like, he's had great moves, but you need this 4th base.
Yeah, no, he has to have this 4th base. This could be a kind of a game that just sort of fizzles out, right? I mean, where it's just Protoss kind of keeping Terran off 4 bases and slowly taking the map. By the way, quietly in the top right, he's taking a Nexus there, too.
Yeah.
So, Shuttle is kind of completed the big picture of how you end a game in PvT. All you have to do from here on out is make gateways in the top right and just kind of let the game play itself out.
Yeah.
Spend a lot of time clicking on gateways, making stuff.
Yeah, you can see, you know, a lot of power this game out of Shuttle.
GG.
GG gets called there, and Shuttle will advance. You know what? Well done by him. I think that TY was really exciting, though. I'm kind of sad he didn't make it.
Yeah, well, this was a tough group, too. I think if this is a different group, TY gets out.
Yeah.
I think we kind of had a very standard PvT to close that out. It's a kind of a textbook case of how Protoss is supposed to be Terrans, especially with the modern Shuttle comboed with Storm Drop. But look, man, that was cool to see Ty here. I hope he's going to come back for another season. I love it when we have StarCraft 1 players and 2 players switching games, and they kind of bring their own flavor and their own ideas.